Hey, y'all, let's take care of some business before we get into the Bucket of Popcorn podcast. This podcast brought to you by Hybrid Total Fitness at 5504 Bandera Road, 618. That's suite number 618. You can find them online at Hybrid Total Fit on Facebook, Twitter, and all that good stuff. Learn it, love it, live it, lift it. Hybrid Total Fitness. Big shout out. Thank you very much. Let's get into the podcast. Welcome to the Bucket of Popcorn podcast, where we're going to talk about...
I did not hit her. I did not.
And... Ricky! There'll also be some...
What's with kids today, huh? No respect.
And most definitely a lot of... So it's either Josh and Deb, Josh, someone else, Deb and someone else, Josh, Deb, and someone else, or someone else altogether. Welcome to the Bucket of Popcorn podcast. Welcome to the Bucket of Popcorn podcast. Today it is myself, Josh.
And me, Deb. Hello, everybody.
Hello. And we're talking about Verónica.
Veronica.
Yeah, if you don't speak Spanish, Verónica translates to...
Veronica.
Not Veronica.
Veronica. Vero.
All right. So this movie is directed by Paco Plaza. That's when you go Paco Plaza.
Paco Plaza.
Yeah. It stars Sandra Escacena.
Escalera.
Bruna Gonzalez, Claudio Placer, and some other people. Yeah, I got the rrr. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, Placer.
I can never do that.
Anyways. Hopefully by now you've already listened to what we posted up about how we're going to do the podcast, why we're doing the podcast, the Bucket of Popcorn podcast.
Bucket of Popcorn.
Blah, blah, blah. And so this is a Netflix, I think it's an exclusive, right? Or
I think so.
Did it get released anywhere else?
I don't think so. I think that's how we know. How do we hear about it?
I heard about it on Bloody Disgusting, the Facebook page for Bloody Disgusting. Mm-hmm. And it was like, all right, got to see it. I'm trying to look it up right now. Did it only come out on...
I've never heard of it before, so maybe it was just Netflix.
Okay, there's trivia on IMDb.
Ooh.
It says the movie Verónica is watching when she and her sisters and brothers are sleeping together in the living room is the 1976 Spanish horror classic ¿Quién puede matar un niño? Who can kill a child? Wow. Wow. Anyways, so in case you haven't figured it out with all the brrr and me reading in Spanish over here, this movie is all in Spanish.
Yeah, so if you're if you're one of the type of people that don't like reading,
like the Orphanage from Guillermo del Toro, which was all in Spanish also, but the movie was so good you couldn't tell by just reading the subtitles. I mean, the movie was freaking awesome.
Yeah, but some people don't like that. So if you're one of those that don't like reading the subtitles, then... Yeah,
warning. If you don't speak Spanish, this is a subtitle-only movie. Right?
Right.
But we'll go straight into, is it worth watching? I say it's really worth watching.
I think it's really worth watching. At first, when it first started, I was like, no, let's not watch it. But I gave it a little bit of time, and then like the beginning of it just caught my attention.
Well, when we started, because we didn't know going into it that it was all Spanish. Mm-mm. And then we started seeing the director and all that stuff coming up, and it was all in Spanish. I was like, "Oh man,
and
really? I'm not in the mood for that."
Is it in Spanish? I hope not, because if it is, I don't want to watch it.
And Deborah speaks Spanish, and I kind of, sort of, do too. So we gave it 10 minutes, and the 10 minutes ended when we saw the entire movie. It was like, oh wow, we ended up watching the whole thing.
But I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I'm not gonna say it was the scariest movie, or there were some parts in the movie that made me jump. I was like, oh wow, that's scary.
There were a bunch of not a bunch, but a few jump scares, right?
Yeah.
But this movie leaves a lot. without doing any spoilers, we'll do spoilers at the end of this, but the movie leaves a lot to your imagination.
And I think it was filmed really good. The way they did a lot of the stuff, I really enjoyed.
Now, on Rotten Tomatoes, this thing has 100% tomato rating on the tomato meter, and the audience score of 77% that liked it.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I guess I got to log into my Rotten Tomatoes account and join that 77%.
And look, it's 77% popcorn.
That's what I just said. Oh, popcorn. Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. The movie's worth investing your time.
I think so.
I mean, like I said, it has jump scares. It also has like, what's around the corner? What's in the... And there's a couple of times, without giving any spoilers, where it straight up shows you
what's going
on. And it's still like,
Yeah.
Now this, what I want to talk about right now, it's not a spoiler for the story, but it's something how the movie, a short part of the film of how it was filmed. Like a camera trick, editing trick. All right? So if you don't want to hear this, give it about 20, 30 seconds and then come back. Okay? I'm talking about the scene where it looks like she's walking forward and everybody else is going backwards. But you see it and you're like, well, she was really walking backwards and everybody else is going forward and they're just playing it backwards. But then it runs into something else in the background where you can't tell which way is forward and which way is backwards. I thought that was amazing.
It was. I really enjoyed the way they filmed it. A lot of the filming too is because you see a lot of shadow. Can I say that?
Yeah, they worked with the light very well.
And you see the shadow on the wall, and it's just I love the way they filmed it.
There has to be some kind of digital effect in here. There has to be, not just all practical effects. And I thought it was done really well. All the coloring of everything. It is the new digital look. They didn't try to dumb it down, or not dumb it down, but back it down into like a VHS. Like the movie is based in 1991 in Spain, Madrid. Anyways. And it's in a school, right?
Mm-hmm. She's a freshman.
The main character, Verónica, is a 9th grader. And then the supporting cast are her twin sisters, which are probably like 4th graders.
I think 4th graders.
And then her little brother, who's like a 1st grader. Or
I would say kinder, because he was little.
Yeah. And these kids are great.
Yes. And there's a part...
Well, remember, no spoilers.
There's a part where they're doing some... I'm not going to say what they're doing, but they really, really look scared.
Yes. Like it makes you wonder, did the director tell them what's going on? This director is also the guy that did Record, or REC, or whatever you say.
Oh, yeah. I really like that one, too.
Yeah. But there's a couple of scenes where it's like, did he let these kids know that they're in a horror movie and this is going on right now? Because it looks like this kid just, like, crapped herself.
They really looked scared.
Or they're the best actors in the history of cinema.
I don't say best, but yeah, they were
no,
really
because
good.
they really look scared.
Yeah, they really did look scared.
All right.
I really felt bad for them.
So, like we talked about in the forward of how we're going to run the channel, I'm thinking of YouTube, how we're going to run the podcast. Let's do ratings in buckets.
Okay.
Right.
I give it a 4.
You give it a 4?
I gave it a 4.
I'll give it a 3.5.
I would have gave it a 5 because I really liked this movie. I really did. I would have gave it a 5 if there was more horror to it, or more scary, more jumpiness. But I really liked the way it was filmed. Okay.
I can't argue the point. I really don't have anything negative about the movie other than it was all in Spanish. But once you get past that, I probably would have given it a 4 if it would have been in English. But then again, there are some things, not giving out anything away, that you see that's not in American culture that adds to the charm of the movie. If you want to say a horror movie has charm. But seeing how school is over there, don't say. And seeing how certain things were here, it'd be like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. You got to do... I don't want to give any spoilers. So let's jump into the spoiler part.
Okay.
All right. So you gave it a 4. I gave it a 3.5. for Veronica, for Paco Plaza's Veronica, right?
Right.
All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about stuff that people might consider spoilers, all right? So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, now would be the time to sign off. Don't forget to look for us on Facebook, Instagram. Sooner or later, there'll be a YouTube. And, of course, on iTunes and Bucket of Popcorn
Podcast.
Yeah. All right. So now into the spoiler part. This movie, there's shadow people in the movie. There's a Ouija board in the movie. There's an eclipse in the movie. And one of the things I was talking about, how culture is a little bit different over there. In the movie, you know how recently this past year, right, when we had that eclipse?
Yeah.
And then everybody had to go buy the $15 to $50 eclipse glasses off of Amazon and off of eBay and all that. In this movie, they said, hey, go home, go into your family pictures and get the negatives out and use the negatives to cover your eyes.
Can you really do that? Or is that part of the movie?
I don't know.
I was wondering. It popped in my head. When I saw it, I was like, I don't know.
And then all the kids, that's a cool thing because like every grade is in one big building.
Yeah, they were all on top of, and then they were all on top of the roof.
Even
with their
the little pre-K kids, the negative slides over their eyes looking directly at the eclipse.
Yeah.
So what happens is Veronica and her shitty-ass friends...
Oh, yeah, she has really shitty friends.
Rosa and dumpy left-behind girl, who's a party girl.
She's wild.
They're doing a seance. Well, they're calling it a seance over a Ouija board. I guess using a Ouija would be like a seance, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're doing it during the eclipse. And Veronica cuts her finger... And she's trying to speak to the spirit of her father, who looks, I swear he looks like current time Michael Bolton.
Oh, yeah. That was funny.
There is a scene later on in the movie. Remember, this is the spoiler part. Spoiler. When the shadow people appear, and you know how in these movies they take any form. They take the form of her dad, and he's butt booty naked.
Yep.
Butt booty naked, slightly
Michael
chubby
Bolton.
Michael Bolotin. Oh, my God. But the Sister Death, or what they call her? Sister
Death. Sister of Death?
Something like that. She's a nun at the school. She's blinded. Come to find out that she blinded herself because she used to see these types of things.
And she didn't want to see them anymore.
And she didn't realize that even without her eyes, she would still be able to see them. It's pretty wicked. You know what I liked? I liked when, going back to the negatives over the eyes, all these kids have the negatives and they're protecting their eyes. And the nun walks up to this one little girl that's wearing 3D glasses, the red on one side and the blue on the other side. She's like, what the hell are you doing? Smacks her.
Just like, you can't wear these.
Yes.
That was funny.
But there's a freaky scene with the Simon.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the game where the different colors and the tone. And I like the way that their apartment is like a big C. When you're standing in the middle of the apartments, it's a multi-level, I wouldn't say skyscraper, but it's a high-rise. Mm-hmm. And looking up, the way that the center is carved out looks like a big cross. But their apartment, it's like one floor for each apartment, right?
Yeah. So she's looking out her window.
And she looks into her little sister's room.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, just the little differences that were pretty badass.
Yeah, there's a lot of little stuff in the movie. That's
you know what was freaky? When the little brother, what was his name?
Antoñito.
Anthony. Mm-hmm. He gets burned water burns in the bathtub because she leaves him in the bathtub too long.
And then she's like yelling, Veronica,
then
Veronica.
Something turns up the hot water. And he's not blistered or anything like that, but he's covered with like 2nd degree red marks all over his body. And it looks really painful. Like it looks legit. Like, oh, well, they filmed this movie somewhere else where there's no regulation. Let's just burn the kid to make it look good. Well, I tell you that scene, there's a scene towards the end because crappy friend and left behind party girl won't redo the spoilers. Won't redo the seance. So she uses her twin sisters to do it. and they look scared. Excuse my French,